Well, I'm thinking that rather than put this cylinder back in, the slave cylinder for the bucket leveling system, I'm going to take this off so I can get that and rebuild it, or put the new gaskets and seal kit in it, I guess. And to do that, I got to undo the foot pedal, and the schematic was wrong, but just following it up, this is the foot pedal, and then I'll go up in the cabinet there and undo it from up there. I already got the doohickey open, so I'll see you up top side. All right, the foot control is 26, 25, and 24. So that is the foot control. 26, 25, and 24. And that means I gotta get 25, 26, and 24 disconnected. And I guess I just gotta push those pins in. Let me figure this out here. Okay. 26 is black. 25 is red. And 24 is the white. That should then be that. It is set. Come on, dudes. That, just like that. All right, come on, come on, come on, come on. There you go. Like that. Foot control unhooked. I got the box disconnected. There were 4 bolts running through this back plate and into here. They were rusted, but since they've been kind of protected, they weren't too bad. Just a little stubborn. So that's 1.5 inches. Those are 3/4. I've broke the 3/4. That is just twisting because there's a lock nut down underneath it, my lock. So it's just spinning. I do have 2 1.5-inch sockets, so I'll have to put one on the bottom, but that nut, it's being a nylock, it's, you know, it's got a little neck on it that makes it longer, and then there's some thread sticking out as well, so the 1.5 inch sockets barely fit on that, and I don't have an 1.5 inch wrench. I don't go up to 1.5 inches. I think 1 5/16 inches is the largest wrench I have. So I'm gonna see about this pin and just see if I can't get that center nut loose, and if not, I can always take this off and deal with that off the machine, with the basket off the machine. But kind of like to get them broke while they're on the machine like this, so a little bit more sturdy. All right. do have a big crescent wrench, big one that would fit on that. I just don't know if it would fit up in here, you know, the width. It might. I think that's a 9/16. Start on that too. I'm not going to get very much further than just knocking stuff loose. Got the pin out a bit, so that's loose. It's still in. It's not out all the way from the other side. It's still fully engaged, but at least I got it started. I got to get the bobcat hooked onto this thing so it doesn't tump over. I'm going to try to get that center bolt at least started. Alright, got it started. I had that on there, except it just started rounding. I was like, gosh, shit, I don't want to deal with that. So I put the big crescent on it through here. It fit fine. Give the DeWalt a go at it, and it finally broke it. So everything here is broke. That started. I have the control box off. Looks like we're gonna get some more rain, so I think I'm gonna put a tarp, wrap this up in a tarp, and I'm gonna call it. All right. One thing about this I caught somewhere is that you're supposed to index this, or else you have to go through a procedure to get it sequenced properly. So I marked here, here, here on both sides, Z and X over there, so they're unique. I might get online and see what's up, but I gotta get this thing wrapped up and start on it again. Okay, so it is now time to use the Kubota and the forks on the platform, which is like over, you know, there on the Genie. So let's fire this bugger up and get on over there. All right, let's get on over to the buggy, to the Genie. I dream of Genie. Widen these forks out a little bit. I'll see about maybe putting a 2x4. I'm not even sure a 2x4 will fit in there, but something to kind of take up the slot since it's not perfectly level. We'll see what's up here. My next move is to knock that pin out. So I'm taking this basket with this attached, and then I'll take that off. I'm just going to try to see if I can't navigate getting this basket platform off of here. I don't see a reason to take the platform off, as it says, which looks like the only thing holding this platform on are these things. So this is 2 U-bolts to this, I guess they call it this weldment. I don't think there's anything underneath. That weldment. Oh, there could be bolts going up underneath it. I don't know. Coming underneath that main beam, underneath those round tubes there. Well, let me go see about finishing knocking that pin out. Maybe get a 2x4, a couple of pieces of 2x4, and wedge them underneath those forks. So my wife asked me, well, what could go wrong? And I said, well, other than everything, not a whole lot. Say, Liz, can you take that 2x4 out of there? Both of them? If that one, yeah. And this one? Thank you. Coming off?
Yep.
Am I off?
Yes. But not by much.
Off? I mean up there. Am I disconnected and away from the boom?
Disconnected.
How far off from the boom am I? Oh, shit. What do you mean, not much?
I'm at here.
Ah, I'm not worried about that. It's the boom. Alright. Well, that went okay. I'm going to readjust my sawhorses here. Detached. Wasn't really all that bad. Getting it lined back up could be a challenge. I'll have to probably call a friend, like one of my two. Well, I have one friend and the other's kind of a friend acquaintance. that's my social life. To get that thing lined back up, to get that pin back in it, but deal with that at a later time. Since I got these loosened, I can get on them. Again, 1.5 inches, 3/4. I have to use the crescent down below on that to hold it, to get that out. These come up. I have this all marked. Should mark it again just to make sure I have it right. Then they come to find out. So this model isn't around anymore. Parker-Hanifin owns this company. It's Helac. Are these rotary solenoids and things. So that's that. And this now is replaced, which they're expensive as shit. And, you know, that would be like 1/4 of what I got into the whole machine. But they do have seal kits. But now I got the seal kit through Genie, but I did wind up last night, probably about 1 or 1:30 in the morning. I finally found a parts explosion for this. It's because this got, you know, manufactured for Genie, the OEM of the lift, and so they have their own unique part number on there, which is this 30669 number. That's the Genie part number. 25724 is Helac Parker's number. And this 9K model has been replaced with what they call an 8.5 model. And the HP, some of these are HPs, but they're also like L, so this is like an L20. 8.5 is what this is. So it took a while to figure that out because there's a whole lot going on in there. And a lot different than the cylinders, the linear cylinders. this cylindrical rotating cylinder. It's got a lot more going on with it. So I gotta go look at the seal kit that I bought from Genie to see if it has the stuff in it that Parker would send you, because there's some dowel pins. You got to drill some dowel pins out, and it's kind of a mess. But I'm not buying a new one. The damn things are like mega expensive. It'd be a quarter to half of what I already got into the whole machine, which I got a good deal on it, but you know, didn't come without issue. So I'm working through them. I'm on what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cylinders. I've done 6 cylinders, and that'll be the 7th, the rotator, and a head gasket. I had to replace the head gasket. Some of these didn't need to be done, but since one side was out, I did the other. So everything is being redone or rebuilt at the same time, all together now. Some of this is residual, and some of it's from me working on them. Anyway, let me go get my tools. 1.5 inches. Is out. I had been spraying this thing with, you know, liquid wrench type stuff on and off for quite some time, and I think it's paid off after a while here. Now let's move on to these other guys, which are 3/4. Okay. And that thing's a mess. I'm gonna go get it. I did mark these, but I'm gonna mark it again just so I am absolutely positively sure of where this thing is going. Let me go get my punch set again. Alright, so here we are on the rotator, and I guess I gotta see if I can get these plugs out of here. I'm gonna drill using tractor pins. No. Alright. I thought it was supposed to be all black like that. So I don't have the full documentation for this model because it's obsolete, but I did talk to Parker-Hanifin, and I talked with one of their product engineers who did send me a document for this. It's very brief in nature though. It's this. So it does have disassembly and inspection. So this is HP 9K series, which is no longer amongst us as an active product. And this is what I found on their site for what the replacement is, which is an L20, and it looks like much of this stuff is similar, kind of the same with it. I think the internals are probably different, you know, the details of the internals, but I think the criteria for disassembly are the same. So I'm kind of using this document here and that document there for references, because I've never done this. I never had a boom lift before. Never needed a boom lift before. Alright, let's finish taking these out. And then see about these pins. This document is saying to drill these out, these pins that are in there. And these pins, this one right here, and this one right here. And to use 1/8 bit and go to a depth of approximately 3/16 of an inch, and then use a number 2 easy out. So what I did is I grabbed my 1/8 inch drill bit, a 1/8 inch drill bit, not the 1/8 inch drill bit, marked it to about 3/16. Gonna put it into there and drill and see what happens. So hold on. Alright, so this document is saying to drill these out, these pins that are in there, and these pins, this one right here, and this one right here. And to use 1/8 bit and go to a depth of approximately 3/16 of an inch, and then use a number 2 easy out. So what I did is I grabbed my 1/8 inch drill bit, a 1/8 inch drill bit, not the 1/8 inch drill bit, marked it to about 3/16. Gonna put it into there and drill and see what happens. So hold on. Okay, it's not quite 3/16 of an inch, but let me go get an extractor and see what happens. I had a number 2 extractor. I got it out on the table. Let me see if I can use this from this old kit. Oh. What the heck? Hold on here. See now. What happened? See more. This was my number 2. Hey. Alright, well hold on. I'll come back here. I gotta figure this out. I think I might have it. The extractor didn't work. And I found out why. It's because the pin was just spinning in the hole. But I think I have this drill bit kind of lodged in there. And I was able to get the pin pulled up a little bit. So I'm going to see if I can't get hold of it. And get it on out of there. Let me see here. There we go. Pin out. One out. One to go. Alright. Try this again. Woo! Number 2 out. I'm going to tell you folks, that is not easy. Because that pin starts spinning in the hole. Once that thing starts spinning, it's a bitch to get out of there. But you got to get it out so you can unscrew the cap. The bottom cap here. So, out. Task completed. So, what I wound up doing to get those out is just basically muscle them. The first one, I just ran this drill bit into it kind of cockeyed and got it kind of jammed into the pin. And then you saw I was able to pull it up, and I used vice grips to grab hold of it and get it out. This one, I just about effed it up because I broke the tip of that bit off in that pin. Fortunately, enough of it was sticking out, I was able to grab a hold of it and get that broken part out of there, which saved my bacon. I was able to start getting the extractor out. This is a number 3, and it was starting to bite hold of it, but to keep it from spinning, I was holding this little doohickey tool that I made that they say to make for seals, and was holding the edge of it so that could get a bite. Just kept pulling out. So what I did is I just put the extractor in the drill bit and just jammed it in there and ran it fast, and it finally it kind of bit a hold of it, and all I did is keep running the drill bit in reverse while pulling up, and out it came. So not as easy as what they make it out to be in that thing, that's for sure. Anyway, so that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. We're on to getting into this thing, and to start this is the oscillator kit for the rotator, or the rotator kit for my unit. Part number 65842 GT. That's the Genie number 65842 GT, and that is for my unit, which we went through all that yesterday. Is a HP-9K series, and then it has a unique Genie number affiliated with it on the sticker, and now you can barely read it because I was wiping it off. It's still there, and I fortunately took some pictures of this before. The Fisher or Helac number is 29724, and the Genie part number is 30669. So that's that. And look at that, there's still fluid in there. Son of beehive. That's why I put some pigment down. Well, be back in a flash. Alright, I thought I had this all drained, and I probably did, but stuff then probably settled down, and just more. No biggie. Just more time. This kit comes with a whole lot of stuff. In part, it comes with new pins and new little doodads to put into here so you can twist this off, which according for the 8.5 for the LS, or for the L20 8.5 or the L20 15, that's this step right there. So I'm going to go through this kit. Give me a second here and I'll lay it out. I'm going to keep all the gaskets and stuff, O-rings and seals in here for now. So there's a lot of them. But this is in part of the kit here. So that doohickey goes in that doohickey, and that goes into there. Like so. These are the new pins as compared to the old pins. Look the same. See, I got drilled into there a little ways, but I couldn't get that dang extractor to bite because the thing just spun in its hole. You can see how those pins lock this all together. I need to get a bar to try to screw this off like that. I don't know if I'd mentioned, but I did mark the casing before I got, you can see I got it twisted a little bit, but I did mark it on both sides, this side with Z's and this side with X's, because keeping this thing in time sounds like it's pretty critical. So I did mark where the cap lines back up, or the end cap lines back up with the base. And so I have on my workbench, I put this big plate on here like 8 years ago. This all was here when we bought the farm 8-9 years ago, going on 10 years. But I put this big plate on it. So what I did is I just took one of the bolts out, fasteners out that I have holding it down, put this in there, and I have it now to where it's coming out. So I'm going to work on this. You can see it's loosened a bit. They say to have a jig or a workbench that you can fasten this down on, and that is truly a true statement. Truly true. Truly scrumptious, if anybody remembers. I think that was Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. I'll continue on with this and update you. Just got to muscle through it. There you go, just like that. So let me get it off and see what's happening here. All right. There it is. The end cap. That's what we have here. So now I always look to see if I have parts. I don't have that. I wonder if that's considered part of the bearing kit. I bet you it is. And I don't have this. And that has got mud crap on it. We'll see what it looks like as we go down. But this has got crap in it. Mud. This looks like what was in the master leveling cylinder. Let's take a look here. Yeah, see all this crap here? That's just like what was in the cylinder, the master leveling cylinder. Yuck. Yuck. No wonder this thing was leaking like a sieve. Alright, well I'm going to set this aside get things reorganized here and figure out what I do next, because this is where I think it deviates from the new one and the old model. Check it out. Okay, so I think the next thing that I have in here is what I say is an option, but it looks like this has it on there, is a stop tube, which is basically just looks like a washer. So they both call it out as 400 stop tube. 400. Yeah, it looks like just a flat washer from the profile. Yeah, looks just like a flat washer, and that looks to be that doohickey. So, believe it or not, that is a stop tube. A stop tube. Stop! Stop tube! That's a stop tube! That's what it is. A stop tube. And that's a piston. Okie dokie. I'm going to shut you off and figure out what I got to do next here. I'm thinking this is where things change up a little bit from the new to the old. Because it says, looking down in here, you can see these rings and gears, and I can't see any of that down this one. I think this one is pretty much like this. Which I think looking down, maybe, actually looking down might be these guys here. If you look here, looking down, that could be these gear sets. Note, the shaft is now free to move up and out of engagement with the piston sleeve. Note the timing marks on the spline teeth. Small punch marks on the face of each gear. Correct orientation of the marks will greatly simplify actuator timing upon reassembly. Do not remove any components without first locating the timing marks. I don't see. It's like it's just the piston down there. Let me see if that ring comes up, what we're seeing here. I don't know if you can tell what I'm looking at. There's a film, a layer of Well, let me fiddle around here and see what I come up with. Well, I think this is what they mean by it's free to... The shaft, this is the shaft. And so what it says is, on both of them, is the shaft is now free to move up and out of engagement with the piston sleeve. Note the timing marks on the spline teeth, small punch marks on the face of each gear. Figure A. But I can't see those timing marks because there aren't any. That's just a flat face up in there. Because I don't see how you can mark the gears, timing gear sets, because you can't, there is no timing gear set when you look down. It's just a flat top of like the machined surface of the piston. See, that's a flat surface, and I tried to see if it's just if it's a machined part or something, but it's not. I think it's the top face of the piston. Oh, I see. Okay, so here's the gears. So do I just knock this whole thing out? If there were timing marks, I think I just blew that shit right out of the water. There's no way to tell. Okay, after some pondering here, some of this writing I think is somewhat out of sequence, but I get it now. It's probably correct. I was wrong, go figure. But I see the marks. I put this gear set, tapped it back down. I hadn't removed anything yet. So you can see the two marks there and one mark there on the sleeve gear. So this is like the piston, and that's the sleeve, and I think I understand it now. So it says prior to removing the shaft, use a felt marker to indicate the timing between the shaft and piston sleeve. I'm not sure I did that, but I do have it marked, because I marked it on the cap, so I can tell if my cap lines up properly that that's realigned. So I have this marked, and then it has remove the shaft by rotating counterclockwise. As the shaft is rotated, it will disengage from the piston sleeve. Can be removed. It may be necessary to strike the end. So this is where I got to. I didn't do that, which is not noted on there. But I did do it in that I marked this cap, which that shaft is affixed to. That's where it is. So I think if I line these back up to here, and that's lined up with there, I should be okay. That is my humble opinion. So it's a good thing I did mark those. Okay, well, we'll see what happens. Just wondering if I can since that's already out, if there's something I can do. And I marked them on the side here. So this is where the cap, the X side lines up to there. That lines up to there. I'm going to mark where these line up out here. What I mean by that is I'm going to mark on the housing where these line up. So those can be lined up from the housing, and this can be lined up with the housing as well. So actually I think I'm compensating for what they did here. This was all kind of jumbled. This is what screwed me up. Because it says note the timing marks on the spline teeth. I can't see that. You can't see that until you take the shaft out. So I don't know if I was supposed to take this off, the shaft, but I left this all together. Because to me, this is all the shaft. This whole like flange, if you will. Maybe it comes off the shaft. But I haven't taken it off of there. I'm not going to at this point. If I do take it off there, I can mark if you can see that, but I don't think that comes off of there. I think that's a unit. Let me check it out. But I do have stuff marked, and I've caught up to what they're talking about here. All right, let's see what's going on here. First of all, I can see that this kit, seal kit that I got, doesn't have the wear guides, and I don't know if they come with the bearing kit, so that is one thing I need to check out, because I'd soon have new wear guides. It gives the tolerances for them, so maybe they're not too bad, but I just soon going through all this mess, kind of change out everything. So I don't see the wear guides in here, in the kit. One of these is for the shaft. One is probably for this guy here. And then on the internal, there's an internal and I'm thinking that this would be the internal for the cylinder, or for the piston. And the smaller one is for this end cap. Yeah, because I can see the little ring. So end cap, piston, shaft. All right. Bet you these are in the bearing kit. And I bet you the bearing kit also has those end. Yep. So we need to order that. So I guess let's check this out here. I made a little doohickey. They said make your own little seal getter outer tool, and that's what I did. So I made this little fella. I can see why they're saying make your own, because these are pretty stout seals, and I might have to thin it out some. So I think if you just did a normal pick. I'm not sure a normal pick would get these. Well, I guess there's more than one way to break a seal. And that's one way to break a seal. Shit. Well, for what it is, that seal is no longer any good. That's a fact. Sorry for the sniffle. Man, this inner one, I think I might have to make this thing a little bit less abrupt. Okay, I think I have this right. Didn't mean to destroy this guy, but that's the way that went. Alright, I think I'm going to clean this up just a little bit with the wheel. Especially where that head, where the cap bearing goes, because that was all mucked up. And I gotta order that bearing kit, dang it. Son of beehive. So I will do that. Alright, well, I'll be back, folks. Hang in there. Alright, got the internals in. The O-ring is down on the pressure side. The can't think of the term. The gap ring, the seating ring, the thin ring that takes up extra space is on the top side. Pressure side is the rubber O-ring. So I think that's pretty good. Now I'm in a quandary if I'm going to go any further with this or the end or the shaft, because I want to get the bearing kit, and that flat bearing sealing surface goes here, and if you put that gasket or the seal on here, it kind of gets in the way of that thing, as I found even on this older stuff. Given that, I might just want to get that bearing kit. I'll show you what I mean here. This is what I think comes with the bearing kit, as well as those this dude, the gap ring, I guess. But see, this goes on here like that, and it seats on there like that, and it seats at the top and the bottom, the end cap end on the shaft flange. But putting that on, like right now, it's lickety split, but when you have the seal on there, it kind of is wonky. So I'd rather have everything in hand for this and for the shaft before I do them. So that tells me I'm going to set this aside, put these parts back in the bag, and order that kit. I can do this though, which is the piston. So that's what I'm gonna do here next. So it says the gap on the wear rings should not exceed 0.125. So let me go find my feeler gauges and see what that gap is. Right there, you can see. Let's go see what that gap is. So the gap on it is about 0.46. It doesn't expand it. Here, do this with my other hand. It doesn't expand it. Actually, it does just a little. Shoot. So it's less than 46. So, which is good. But I'm still going to replace it. That's the way that goes. Well, that wound up being a bit more of a struggle bus than I expected. One is, it helps if you put the thing in correctly the first time. And two, not knowing what you're doing. But so the seal is all right. I had put this down first and then put the seal on. Well, actually, these are fit inside the seal. They fit like inside the seal. And the first time I did it, the seal was sitting on top of it, so obviously things weren't going to work out properly. But I got it figured out, and then the top one of these, putting it on, it just did not want to get in there. And then they have a lip right that kind of overlaps, and that just did not want to get with the program. Anyway, it's in there, and I think it's okay. Alright, I learned a little bit of an easier way to, these seals, you know, they're big, but this is like Omni. It goes either way, you know. I don't think it's directional. So I just used my little spoon, cheap spoon digger, wood digger outer thing, got underneath it, and then put my made tool up under it. That seemed to have got it, so it'll be easy peasy now to yank it off of there. Okay, so I'm going to use the little trick I'd learned. I think this will work out just fine. Like that, and like that. That one is done. Piston is done. So for now, I think my adventures with this rotator are done. Alright, so now I need to go back to the chute, cattle chute, do a little welding on it to get some nuts welded on, and go from there. Rotator out for right now. So these are the parts to the rotator from my Genie S40. That's the piston, shaft rod, end cap. And I hope I got all the timing marks, because it was very confusing. I understand what was needing to be done, but it just didn't relay to how the stuff came apart. Or anyway, but I think I got it. So I'm waiting for the bearing set. Not cheap, 230, basically 250 bucks for that, and two of those. Crazy. Oh well. I'm checking out. Alright, I'm back on the rotator for my S40 Genie. I dream of Genie. And I have the bearing kit now as well. I should have ordered it to begin with. I saw it, I knew about it. Looking at it after tearing this down, I figured out what it was about, and I just didn't order it, and I should have. But anyway, I got it, and so the bearing kit for this rotator is 31498 GT. That is that's the Genie part number. I could not effectively or efficiently find the kit under the Parker-Hanifin number for this. They did send me the kit number and the bearing when I talked to the engineer, but about finding any paperwork on this HP-9K model, and so he sent me the seal kit and the bearing kit number, which I had them from Genie, but I thought, well, let me take a look at their number and see if I can find a better deal. Couldn't. So there's the part number. Oop, don't want to show where that was shipped to. I'll have to cut that out. (31498 GT), 31498 GT, 31498 GT. Bearing rotator kit 9K. And that's this guy. So now I can work on this. Let me figure this out. Guide locating ring off. That's the direction I needed to come in up front. Man. Don't be such a pain in the ass. Okay, that one is off. It's pretty loud in here with my fans rolling because it's well over 90 degrees, and I think you heard me mention saying that I'm not going to deal with the HVAC unit here in the shop, and I might second guess that question or that statement. So I'll talk loudly, and I may just put music over this. Got all this off. There's a couple of scratches on the surface here, so I used 600, 2500, 5000, 7000 paper on there to take any lips off, but yeah, scratches on it. I'll talk extra loud. I guess I can just rub some ATF on this guy. So there's a couple of ports. I think you put grease down a couple of these other ports, but I'm not going to do that until I get this assembled back together, because get those set screws out, because I tried to get them out and they're in there pretty tightly. These set screws right there and there. So now that bearing is on there. That's a bearing. Now for the seal, I guess I'm going to have to get my handy dandy plastic out, because this stuff was painful to get on. I guess this is it here for today. Actually, that paper on there might add some strength to it. So you can see which way is which on these. The lip, you know, the seal lip goes towards the pressure side, and that's kind of the valley, if you will, goes towards the pressure side, and that's how the other ones are on here. So now, hopefully this thing's long enough. Oh shoot, this one's a bear, that's for sure. I have to put some extra mustard on it, I guess. I might have to heat this damn thing up. Good Lord. I think I need something longer, or else I'm gonna have to heat this thing up. I saw a fella that's pretty proficient at doing these things do that. He heated them up. But this is gonna have to get heated up in some oil. Alright, I'm gonna have to change my plan up here. Whoever said getting these on is easy, they got a trick to it, because for me it takes blood and sweat. I did a good gizmo on my hand here because it slipped out. And man, you know what I'm grateful for right now is 20 minutes ago I dumbed this down on the grinder because I felt it too sharp, and look what would have happened if I hadn't have done that. That would have opened me up wide. So that is on there. Man, that thing is a complete bear, and I'm so thankful I remembered to put that bearing, that bottom bearing on before I put that on, because that ain't going on with that on. So with that in mind, doing my schnoz here. So that was a good score. I believe. What is that? Yes. That one is for the piston. You know what I'm going to do first? That was challenging, to say the least. That seal does not like getting over these high ridges, channels, whatever you want to call them. That'll stop it. Just a minor flesh wound. Just a minor flesh wound. Yeah. Now, that guide said these should not be, that gap should not be any bigger than 125. And I can tell you, that looks bigger than 125. What's the old one have to say about this? What did I do with the old? What's the old one have to say about this? That one's not nearly as big as a gap. The gap on the wear rings should not exceed 125. 125 is 1/8 of an inch. Yeah, I would say that is less than 125. Wouldn't have thumped it. I can stack up a mess of these, so that should be too big. And it is. Okay, I found the combo that works. I was getting myself goofed up. I was subtracting based on one and then looking at another. So this is 125 here. Exactly. And it fits, and if anything, it pushes it out just slightly. Just slightly. So there's certainly no extra. So I think that new one will work. It's just a bigger gap. It just threw me off because I knew it was a bigger gap than the old one, but I guess maybe I don't know. But I trust using a new one versus the old. So that's the way it's going to be. Alright, so now what I need to do is set this one aside, the shaft aside, all shafts aside, and this guy is going to be on deck. First what I'm going to do, put this on. Make sure I have it on. Take that upstairs. Okay. We'll take this upstairs. Heat this one up and check on my desiccant. Alright, I've taken some, this is 7,000, I took some 5,000, took some 2,500 and swiped the bore. Kind of hit this face because that's the side the piston goes in, so I need to go spray this out. And given that my air compressor is down because the desiccant container is down, because I gotta go check my desiccant again, and then the piston will be going in on this, and then I gotta clean this up as well. Clean these up just a little bit. Pins for this actually came out pretty easily relative to things. Alright. There we go. Now we gotta clean it up. Wiping everything down with some ATF, aka hydraulic fluid. Yeah, you can't say that, but hurting here. You know, transmissions are on hydraulics, well, partially on hydraulics, a lot on hydraulics. Okay, so that is wiped down. Now, that's the bore. Now for the cylinder. So I've got the marks for the cylinders, and I'll show you what I mean by this is this older model is a little different, I feel, than how you see some of these others where you can see all three gears line, you know, you can see the shaft, see the cylinder gear, the shaft gear, and the piston gears. This one you can't see all three sets in one viewing because this piston top, the shaft comes up here and you can't see the other gear set, so that was throwing me off. But if you look, here's two marks right here. Those two marks line up with, on the piston, line up with you can't see it, that mark right there. You can see where my finger is there. So those two, that piston lines up, orientates with those marks. Then I took a snap. I think there is another marking then that I can use with the shaft orientation, but I have this and the housing marked how they were, and I have the end cap to the housing marked to how it was seated. So hopefully things will line back up and we will see. And then this is that stop tube, and it sits on the end cap, I think. Does it sit on the end cap? No, it sits on the piston like this. That's where it goes. I gotta get this piston situated in here, and to do that I gotta get these gears aligned. I need to mask off those threads on here, and I might actually put just a hair bit of grease as well. Get you some on the cylinder line gear. Alright, so here will be my first attempt. There it is, right there. So that is that right there. Hey. So I need to get, God bless you. I need to get, where's my flashlight? I don't know if you can see in there. I'm not going to worry if you can't, but I need to get you can see in there. I need to get those two marks aligned with that mark, which is that tooth. So I need that tooth to engage with that tooth. And what I'm going to get to do this, to help with that, is this. Alright, I may have to set you down because I don't know if you're going to be able to see this or what. But I'll try to bring you back in here. Hopefully, that's bright. Hopefully I got them. I don't know if you can see that, but that's the mark here, that's the mark there, and that tooth needs to engage, I think, there. Alright, I'll be back here. Frick, I'm off by a tooth. I don't know if you can see, I'll have to use a pointer, and I don't know if you can see in there or not, but there's my two marks, there and there, but there's my mark on my ring. I'm off by one tooth, I think. Yeah, because the further I come in with that piston, the more it's going to rotate up. So I'm off by a tooth. Dang it. Okay, back out it goes, and back in it comes. Took me a few tries, but I got it. What? Those are right on. It took me like 3.5, 4 tries. I was off one tooth. And it's not easy. You can't like twist this once it's in the bore because the seals are so tight. So once you go in, it's kind of where it is. So got it though. So now to the shaft. This is what I mean. You can't see all 3 gear sets at the same time because this piston, you know, you see the flat top, and all that comes up through the piston is the shaft. These gears sit down here, so when you look down you can't see all 3 gear sets like you see in these pictures. So what I did is, because the inner ring is fixed position, the piston is now timed with the ring gear, and I have this marked to the timed with the housing. So this should be able to go up. I should be able to mark. I should be able to get it to line up with these marks, and I would be back in time. The trick is going to be getting it on the right tooth to rotate, so when it seals, my X and X, and on the other side Z and Z line up. I'm sitting here moving the camera with my fingers, so that in theory is doable. I'm just not sure how doable on the first attempt, so I'll see what's up here. Alright, there was a Z, there's a Z, they're lined up. Took me some fidgeting and fitting, but I got it. X, X. I kind of wound up having to split the two because I was off a little bit. So those two, that X splits these two, and the Z are right on. So see, you can't see all three gears. Just can't do it. Piston is timed with the ring gear. This is timed with the housing. So by default, everything is back the way it was when I dismantled it. That's this HP-9K. So now the end cap needs to go on. Stop tube is back in. See it down there. That's the stop tube. It's just basically a big old thick washer that runs up and hits this. Hits the bottom of the end cap. Alright, so I'm going to slob some tranny fluid on that. I even marked this to the housing, but I didn't know what was going to go on. It was unnecessary, but I did it. Alright, let me get some fluid and get this thing going. Anti-seized. Cap going on. Well, sometimes, you know, you gotta think, what the heck? So apply anti-seize to the threaded and surrounding areas of the end cap. And thread onto the shaft. Bingo. Torque end cap to 60 foot-pounds. You don't have much choice as to what to torque it to, because you have to align those little set pins with between the shaft and the end cap housing. So yeah, it takes you know, a bit of, because of the seal and all, but you know, it takes a little bit of pressure, which I'm not sure how to get to 60 pounds, you know, without having some specialized fitting or bracket for a torque wrench. But be that as it may, I'm not sure how you'd measure it to 60 pounds. Meaning you can only go here. If I can't go another round, it's not going to happen. So the torque is what it is where these land. It's probably a little bit more than 60, but nonetheless, it's not like you're just threading down, you know, a nut on a bolt. This has a fixed stopping point. Anyway, just thought I'd mention that. And it goes into this whole test the actuator thing. And personally, I'm going to test it on the unit, because I don't have all this crap. A portable hydraulic system, and you know, I see some online for a reasonable price. You can make one. I got enough stuff also to make one, but I don't have that much ambition to do that. So for me, I think I'm just gonna put it on and check it out. But I'm not gonna put it on right away, because I'm gonna paint the basket. And since I have the basket detached, this is the time to do it. Anyway, put my bleeders back in. Put the set screws back in. Guess I'll put the pins in and give it a twirl when it's ready. Just gotta kind of get these guys started. Okay. Tap them in. Alright, those are it. This is what I'm referring to. This is not for this unit, right? This is the closest I could find for this unit. But you can see here, you can almost see all three sets of gears, right? The ring gear, the piston gears, and the shaft gear, gears. You can't on that, so you can't make the marks like they say here. And even for this unit, because that piston is a solid top, just it doesn't work. So you can kind of see here, you can't see all three gear sets to put timing marks like that. Can't do it. Doesn't jive with what was in the unit. Got those tapped down, seated. I'm gonna put these set screws in, and might run the fittings in just a little bit, keep stuff tidy, keep air and stuff out. The bleeds and the fittings to that side go in there, and then I'll be just about done. I think everything is copacetic because this is a 180, 160 degree rotator, and I was able to bring the X, if you will, all the way up to the 12 o'clock position. You know, this position here, 12 o'clock if you were looking at it. And then I was able to go the other way and bring my Z mark like up to about here, so that'd be like 160. So it's going 180 in one direction, and it's going 160 in the other. I think it's right, and it stopped, and I can feel the sleeves, or feel the piston moving, and seals are sealing, so I think that's actually good. I took these caps off to relieve it a little bit. Anyway, I can show you a little bit what I'm talking about. Come on, what? This shit started being a pain in the ass. So that's exactly at 12 o'clock. So that would swing the basket parallel to the boom. You can see that's my X mark. So that's perfectly like at the 12 o'clock. Sweating like a pig here in the shop. Come on, man. So now you can see my Z mark will not go fully to the 12 o'clock. So 180, 160. I think that's about right. And I can't go any further than that, so line these guys back up. Yep, that's good. So just wanted to test it a little bit before I put it on there, but it seems to be doing what it's supposed to do. Put those caps back on and be done with it. Before and between stage, black rust reformer, Rust-Oleum. There we go. Okay, so for the Genie lift and the rotator, attaching the rotator to the basket, here's what I got. Got some oversized, super duper corrosion resistant washers. 1-8 by 12 grade 8 bolts. And a grade 8 nylock bolts, nuts. So that is for the rotator. There's bolts for the rotator. Got some stainless carriage bolts to put a piece of plywood down to the flooring of the basket. So there's a brief shot of some of the hardware going back on the rotator, the carriage, the basket, and the carriage to it. So there's the rotator back on, and these are 1/2 inch 13 by 1 1/4 long grade 8. I got them zinc coated chromate. I put stainless lock washers on there. I did put some blue Loctite on them. And this big guy is a 1-inch-8 by 12 inch, and there's a nylock nut down below in the washer. So I ordered a grade 8 super oxide corrosion resistant bolt and washers and a new nylock for that. So I just got this one in there now. I did put some fluid. I think I filled up the bottom cavity. It's rotated to the top, so there's not much room to get any fluid in there. So I tried to get some fluid in there as much as possible, so minimize the air. Be that as it may, this was kind of a pain in the ass to get in there by myself because it fits pretty tight. You got to get it in there fairly smooth. So it took a rubber mallet, a metal sludge, and a piece of wood to get it fit in there properly. But it is now in there, and I got these tightened down. I couldn't find any torque specs for these things, but it's just it's just rotational, so it's not a lot of juice put on it. And when this new one comes in, I'll pull that out, put the new one in. I didn't tighten this up down there, it's just in there hand tight. So that's that. Paint job could have been better, but it's better than what it was. This thing was just looked like a big piece of crap. Alright, I'm gonna put together this or start on this welder cart from Haba Freight. Haba. Alright, and I replace this behemoth with this behemoth. This is an 1.5 inch nut and bolt. This doesn't. Come down in. I've got it bolted in up here. I don't want it to slide down in here. That's what I'm not wanting it to do. I think that should work. Got it out. Pull it out that way. Let's see what happens here. It's not slipping any. Alright, so this is a grade 8, and these are super resistant, corrosion resistant washers. And that one's, let me get something to wipe this down with a little bit. And we've been just getting deluged with rain. A deluge of rain. Last night and today. Everything fell, as would be my way. Bend down to get it, as would be my way. Okay. And there was reason and purpose for that. I was looking for that bugger. Thank you, Lord Jesus, for finding me that little nut, because that saved me probably an hour looking around to figure out what it's called and to find it. Alright, super whammy washer, 1.5 nylock. Going. So now I can't use this on the nut end because it's not deep well. So, but what I will do. That's not all. I got another set. That's my 3/4 inch stuff. I should rephrase that. That's some of my 3/4 inch stuff. I have another set in the other garage. Wrong adapter, Chris. Right adapter. All right. Viola or voila. Once had a guy, client, was asking some questions and I gave him the answer, and then, you know, I was kind of saying, and there you go, voila. And he sends me back, thanks, Viola. Dude thought my name was Viola, and I said, there you go, voila.